This is Suburban On Air and Cohen in the City. Here is Mike Cohen.
Fair for your body, trapped up on your mind, and I turned a blind eye to every side. Found something in nothing, no one left to blame, but I knew from the start it ended this way.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with Jonas Tomalty again. It's been a few years since we saw each other, Jonas, and great to connect. A lot's happened since we last saw you. Got a lot of kids now. You've changed your band, so it's been some good times.
It has been wonderful times. I think, from 2000 to 2003, anybody in the world, but especially anybody in the entertainment industry, had to either sit tight and wait for the storm to pass, or use that time to reinvent. And I was really blessed to be one of the people who chose the time to reinvent, and blessed with a happy, healthy family. And so with that environment and the inspiration that was brewing, this new band was born, the Jaguar Moon.
What a great name, Jonas and the Jaguar Moon. When was it formally established, and how did you come up with the name?
Well, the name, I think, is a whole interview in itself. Honestly, I think in this day and age when everybody has a cell phone everywhere and there's no more mystique at all, I think I'd like to hold on to the mystery of that name and let it bubble a little bit before we talk about where it came from, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Yeah, but I think that where the concept came from was that I think for many years I've been searching to get back to that rudimentary rock. And by rudimentary rock, I don't mean like 3-chord power, power rock or classic rock. I mean accessing all of the elements of what I know as rock and roll, and tying in the inspirations of all of the members in the band, especially my co-writer, Steve Nadeau, who is my new guitar player and my new co-writing buddy. And we had a vision as to where we wanted to go with this. Tone was the most important thing going into the recording. And tone, I meant like really dialing in the sounds that were going to come out of the amplifiers, what kind of guitars we were going to use, the drums, the bass approach, and not only that, but how we were going to take all of those tones that we have, quote unquote, off of the stage and bring them into the studio in an organic, authentic, analog kind of way. And not to bore your listeners who aren't, audiophiles or interested in sound, but for us, it was also really important to go into the studio and work on an old 60s Neve console, which is the desk they use for recording, straight to 2-inch tape, which is the analog process that not a lot of people use these days, and then right to vinyl. So everything's going to be warm. It's going to be right from the source. And like I said, all those tones that we were looking to really make sure to get on tape, I think that process is the best and most honest way to do it.
Now, Jonas and the Massive Attraction, that was also a great name, by the way. And what happened to that group?
I'm a firm believer that in this life and in the creative world, and I mean, anything that involves relationships and emotions has its time. I don't know that project has any bad vibes or any, bad memories going back. It had a great run of 10 years, and we made some great music, and we toured, all over Western Europe, and we made some great memories. And sometimes it's just time to turn the page. And so with that, especially Corey and I have absolutely no bad vibes. He's doing great. He's playing with Pagliaro right now. They've been out for the last several years together. and I know they're making great music. And whenever we get a chance, we have a catch up. So no, nothing but love.
Okay, terrific. Now I watched the video a few times. Believer, you're the first song for the new album that's going to be released in 2025. It's a great song, and you have Dave Schiffman, who's got quite a track record, Red Hot Chili Peppers and a bunch of others. So you must be pleased with this product, and there's a lot of now we're waiting in anticipation for all the others to roll out.
Well, to answer your last statement first, well, I think one of the reasons "Believer" was such a poignant and appropriate single to release first was because I think it really wraps up the tonality and the vibe of the album. It's definitely one of the most accessible or sort of explosive songs. There's lots of dynamics on this album, which will be revealed single by single until the album comes out in January. But Dave Schiffman's implication was so important because everything that I heard about Dave, and Dave and I hadn't had a lot of conversations before I called him. In fact, it was a cold call. Um, I was told by a mutual friend that Dave was really the guy who I was looking for the process I was looking for. And by that I mean we don't need a producer for this project, particularly the Jaguar Moon. We don't need a producer to come in and tell us what to do and change everything on twist, turn the dials and cut up the songs and cookie cut it to what a lot of producers have their own tone too. You have to remember that. Like a producer comes in, they have their tricks that they use in the studio. They have their approach to songwriting. Um, and Dave is really great at finding the sound of the band, finding the strength in the band, and amplifying those strengths. And so, with that, I cold called Dave and said, "Hey, man, we had an email exchange a few years ago, but I wanted to reach out to you. I'm working on some new stuff with my band, and here's our ideas to send some demos." And I think it was 30 minutes later he gave me a call and he said, "This is really interesting to me. I love where it's going." And just that excitement and motivation coming from somebody who's worked with Chili Peppers, Chris Cornell, Audio Slave, Adele, most recently Olivia Rodrigo. Um, he's a guy whose opinion has always mattered, but he's a tasteful producer with a great approach, and it was a wonderful experience. I think he really stuck to that motto throughout our recording process, and so the Jaguar Moon sounds exactly like the Jaguar Moon is supposed to sound, and he has just kind of kept the guardrails on and given us the meat and potatoes and finely tuned this big machine.
Plan for 2025 once you get rolled out? Is there a tour plan for the group? Anything big, any huge launch coming up for this?
We're very lucky that independently of the four guys in the band, we've all been in other successful projects before. Alex, our bass player, is the bass player for the Brooks, and our drummer Fudge was with the New Cities, and Steve, our guitar player, was with Venus Trois and Projet Orange, and and these guys, they've all been made great music and have a good history. So it opened a lot of doors. It's not like we're babies coming into this. All of those old relationships kind of helped us take this band and hit the ground running. So we've got lots of festivals lined up for next year already. Um, and then we're going to go back to Europe and try to sort of re-break that frozen top layer on the water that I'm sure is there. I'm not sure if even just looking at the similarity of the names of the band, because my name's involved, that maybe some of our old fans just looking at posters might make the connection. Who knows? I don't know what our online support is like out there in Europe, but we're really looking forward to getting back to especially Germany, Holland, Denmark, Switzerland. They were really supportive for us in the early tens, and throughout the 4 or 5 years until 2015, we were spending a lot of time in Europe. So I love touring out there. I'd love to get back out there, and that's the plan for maybe fall 2025.
Okay. So last time I saw you was at the opening of the new Mackay Center complex in NDG. That was before the
Yeah.
pandemic. Of course, we had you back there a few times. You were a reverse integration student. You were spent a very memorable year there, and a lot's happened since then. Mostly, you've become a real family man. You and your partner Carmen have 3 young children. How has that changed life for you?
It's been an absolute blessing. I think I'm super blessed that I got to start this career early on in my 20s, and make a lot of mistakes when I was younger, be foolish, and went into my 30s mentally preparing myself for the responsibilities that come with being a dad, and setting up to have a home, and do the country burbs thing and all of those things. But you can't do that without having the right woman in your life. Well, you can, but I don't know how long that's going to last or how happy you'd be. And so, the stars aligned, and Carmen and I, we met, and we, you know, through lots of love and lots of work and all the things that come with being in a relationship, decided to have our first baby together. And so 5 years ago, we had Lennon, and he has just been an absolute angel and a defining, you know, character in our lives. And it makes me, we were very motivated to have more babies. What can I say? And so Gloriana was born soon after, and Morrison. We've got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. We're just, you know, it's in French they say c'est du sport.
Yeah,
We're really in the
yeah,
weeds. There's a
yeah.
lot of action in the house, but I love it, and we're really happy to be living this moment, and feeling very present in the moment too. Not trying to rush any of the phases that come with teething, and nervousness about starting preschool and all that stuff. No, we're really embracing each moment.
So, you were born with a fantastic first name, Jonas. It was just like made for Hollywood. Like we didn't, when we say Jonas, whenever I hear Jonas, there's not that many Jonases. It's your stage name. You've been known as Jonas, not even your last name. And now you have 3 children with unique names. Lennon, I don't know if he was named after John Lennon, but
Yep,
was he?
he was. Yeah, 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 for
That's what
sure.
I thought. Gloriana and Morrison. So, do you see music in the future of any of these 3 kids? Because they too won't need a last name for their careers.
If they go to law school first, then they can
Okay.
they can. No, I mean, you're always protective as a parent, especially when you've
Yeah.
spent way more than the majority of your life in the industry. So listen. I'll support them on anything that they want to do 100%. But I think like any sane parent, you want them to have a backup plan, you know?
Right. And to conclude, you grew up in Lachine and mainly NDG. You're even though you live on the South Shore now, you still consider yourself an NDG boy?
You can't take NDG out of the boy. You can take the boy out of NDG, and I was born there and only spent the first year of my life really living there until I came back when I was 16 from the West Island. But I really, it's funny, I identify as an NDG boy for sure, sort of like you do when you're Irish. I mean, we've got a lot of Irish roots, and we're proud Canadians. But if people ask me, I'm Irish Canadian, and so I kind of feel the same way about my NDG roots. What can I say?
Well, it's been great catching up with you. I want to wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, perhaps at a school to inspire the next generation.
Well, Mike, before you leave, let's do a quick catch up on you. I'm sure the listeners want to hear about you for a second. How have you been?
I think the listeners know enough about me because of the let's just say I'm turning 62 in October, and I
Yeah.
started at this paper when I was 16. So
No way.
it's been a real lifetime of love. The Suburban is part of my DNA. And yes, just to answer your question, because it's great to be interviewed by Jonas, I am working at the English Montreal School Board 25 years now as head of communications. I've been writing for the Suburban now. As I said, I started when I was 16 years old. And I'm a city councilor in Côte-Saint-Luc for 19 years. So lots on my agenda and lots of love as well, and loving what I'm doing as well. So thanks
Oh,
for
I love
asking
to
me
hear
those
that.
questions.
Well, thanks for responding when I put you in the hot seat there, Mike.
Oh, you know what? I have to be, like I said, wearing my political hat, you always have to be ready for any questions. So,
Yeah.
great work, Jonas, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Jonas Tomalty has been my guest.